Hello and welcome to Queers and Soaps. I'm Eric, joined once again by
Hey,
Bevan. Bring me some more Dallas, season 5, episodes 5 to 8. Tell me over
yeah.
all the credits and we'll chat about it. So before we talk about it, I must bring up our Patreon. We're doing a lot of watches of different shows, General Hospital, like classics, Dark Shadows, um, 90210. So join our Patreon today for exclusive footage. And now to Dallas, episode season 5, episode 5, The Sweet Smell of Revenge. This aired 42 years ago this year, November 6th, 1981. It's so crazy to me for the 40, like how old? 42 years and we're talking about it still. So
I was like,
big a
I think
fan.
about it, I was like, I wasn't born for another like 8 years.
Shut up. I was 3. Um, so Sue Ellen and Dusty celebrate their win because they won custody of John Ross temporarily until the official whatever trial.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, JR tells Jock his plan. Of course, Jock's always making phone calls because, in real life he's dead. So in the show,
Hmm.
they're, trying to figure out what to do without him, I guess.
I think it's just trying to keep like how do we approach it? Like the actor's passed away. We obviously can't keep him sort of off screen forever. Do we recast him? That's what I figured that a lot of this must have sort of been about around the time because they do oddly drag it out for a while.
Yeah, you're right. And maybe storyline. Sometimes they might have storyline made out, and they might have had them written in, so they probably had to write them out. And
Well,
who
I think that's
knows?
what I think actually by episode 8 is why they ended up keeping that. I think that's like, oh, we found a reason. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
and it does sort of start firing off sort of like a prototype of the fighting between like Bobby and JR we see over 6 and 7.
you're right. So yeah, JR tells his plan of how to get John Ross back on South Fork because right now he's at Southern Cross.
Yeah. I
Bobby is looking.
actually
Okay.
like that plan. I thought it was a decent scheme. If you've got the money to be able to pull that type of rubbish, like that's probably a good way to do it. Like,
It is, but he can't hold it forever. So I
no,
mean, it's we'll see.
yeah, yeah, no,
Um,
definitely.
Bobby's looking around for Pam. She's MIA. Cliff, uh, Catherine, and Rebecca are like eating lunch, getting to know each other a little bit.
I like
Rebecca
this scene a bit.
mentioned Rebecca mentions that she put Cliff in charge of Wentworth Tool and Die. And Catherine seemed all fine until she mentioned that. Catherine's like,
She's put out by it, obviously.
yeah,
And like Morgan Brittany
um,
has those eyes where like she doesn't even really she's not like she's not impolite. Like that's the thing. It's also cordial, but she's just got this like almost like this what the stare,
yeah,
like
yeah. Afton's mad at Mitch for not taking the Dr. Waring's money.
mm.
He's like, "What is wrong with you? Why are you so much pride? Like, why can't you be like me and just take everybody's money?" No, I'm kidding.
I don't even know if it's that with Afton. I think she's just incredulous because like there was no shame in taking the money. Like I think she gets the pride thing. She thinks it's stupid, but she gets it. She's like, oh man, it's like
Yeah,
that.
she does.
And I
She
get it,
does.
but it's just this level where she's like, "Oh my god, you saved his
And I
life. He was trying to be nice. What the hell's wrong with you? Who doesn't need it?" And where's she wrong? Where's she wrong?
and
Like,
within these 4 episodes, like I feel like she gets some character growth, which is
yeah,
nice.
I agree. It's
I
when we
like that.
start like, I mean, Afton. I always think that like the character was interesting regardless, but I think she does. It's because she breaks away from just kind of being like one of JR's floozies,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
or starts to break away from it.
Yeah. Bobby gets a call that Pam is on a building in some kind of a daze. Bobby tries to talk Pam down. She screams, "No, no, no!" And
Yeah.
he grabs her before she can jump. I guess she's going to jump. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I remember being
I
the
forgot.
one.
I always forget about this stuff.
I was more surprised. I thought it happened earlier in the episode because they spend like half the episode looking for her, and then she's just up on the roof.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I was actually I remembered her being like saying something, but I forgot that she actually like wails. Like it's a proper
Yeah.
like "Wah," like mournful type thing, and I was like, oh,
She's
she's
having
like
a full mental
proper.
breakdown,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much. Um, Bobby tells Ellie she and Lucy go to the hospital. Ellie calls Rebecca to meet up because they were used to be friends years ago and trying
yeah,
to get in touch again. Sue Ellen pulls Dusty into the pool. That was cute when he came home from whatever rehab or wherever he was.
yeah,
His PT. And they kiss and they're being cute and adorable. I love them. JR tries to get um okay, so this is where it gets dicey. So he's trying to get the oil that Farlow gets regularly. Like he's trying to get control of his
yeah,
oil.
yeah. So I think he's
Um,
like basically scamming through all the distributors by offering them more.
oh, okay. That's why I was like,
Yeah,
I was wondering how he could do it because like if you have regular oils coming in, like how do all of a sudden, so he's paying more money for
yeah. That's the only thing that I can think of, and it's why he needs like the. So I did miss bits and pieces here because I had distractions, which was annoying, but whatever.
it.
Um, But from what I could gather, it was basically buying up from the distributors that Barlow obviously goes through. And then the problem being that then because he's sitting on it, he's basically losing on any type of money he's obviously losing on money he could get back from it, but he's already paying more for it.
Yeah, so he's
So,
like paying storage units to
yeah,
hold oil, so it's like millions and millions of dollars. Like it's insane.
yeah, yeah. And it's just to choke out Farlow, Farlow's oil mob.
So he can bargain with John Ross, get John
Yeah.
Ross back and give the oil back.
And Sue Ellen if she wants to come. He doesn't really care, but if she comes along, that's fine too.
Right. It helps. Um,
Yeah. Because that's
Pam,
obviously what his
Pam,
parents want, but he's not too fussed on that.
right. So they take Pam to see a psych doctor, obviously.
Yeah,
Pam says she feels dead since her mother left her.
I feel like she feels
Brutal.
dead. Like it's brutal. I think it's like the dead feeling after she's had to face it all. Because I actually so when we were talking about Pam's thingo, I still think that later on you're absolutely right about how she is with Christopher. That drives me nuts and is a complete character sh- stuff up.
Yeah. Right,
But
right.
uh, this I actually like more than I thought like more than I originally remember. Sort of getting into it, like you're actually sort of getting into this sort of loneliness that's led to self-loathing and stuff because she's not anybody's really. Like she's her mother's, but her
Yeah.
mother was dead. She's not Digger's because her
Yup.
dad is her actual dad is dead. She has no identity. Like the
Yeah.
identity she had isn't hers because she ain't Digger's and the
It's
only
sad.
parents she had. Yeah,
And
it's really sad,
it's emotions that she hasn't dealt with either. Like,
and she's
because she found that
fixating
out a
through
while
thinking
ago.
and she fixates thinking that she can solve that through having a child. So don't get me wrong,
No matter
but
what.
I think that oh my god, I just realized when Bobby brings Christopher home, that scene's gonna hit so much harder. Oh, I
Yeah,
remember thinking Jesus when she caught him, and when I first watched it, I was like, oh
I
Christ,
know. It's not,
it's
I
gonna
know
be
it's coming. It's coming
yeah,
very soon.
it's
But
gonna hit so much harder now.
I want to say it's in the next four, but I'm not 100% sure.
No, neither am I. I
Um,
can't because we only
um,
because was it Jeff Faraday just starts
yeah,
popping
Jeff
up
Faraday.
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So Rebecca feels guilty about Pam, as she meets with Ellie. Ellie's kind of like a sounding board for her. Oh, I wouldn't blame yourself for it. I mean, it kind of is her fault, honestly. It is.
Yeah,
I mean, did you even notice like it's so funny when you like throughout these, what we're going to talk about.
yeah,
Anytime, did you notice in these scenes if anytime like Rebecca's mentioned, mother, any of those things, whatever Pam's facial expressions are doing, she gets serious and shuts down.
yeah,
Every time they'll be like, "Oh, and then what do you think of Rebecca?" And she's just like, "Eh," and she just like
yeah,
gets in this daze every
yeah,
time. I'm like, it's so crazy. Like looking more in depth at it now, like before, I didn't think too much of it, but in watching more details, I'm like, wow, it's intense.
yeah.
I
No,
feel
I think
really bad for her. Or Victoria's killing it
yeah,
with
like
this
so I know that
storyline.
I know that outside of like Dr. Albee, I do make fun of a little bit of the approach to psychology in Dallas because it does have that very soap opera sort of element to it, where like they sort of simplify things a bit too much, or
Yeah,
have
right.
weird symptoms that aren't related to certain things, or possibly not related. But like, it's more that it's what I love more on this playthrough though, this watch, because it has been quite a while since I've done the series. Um, is actually appreciating more of this sort of character work where you're exactly right. I didn't pick up on it in every instance, but I can think of at least two or three major ones where, like,
Hmm.
even before she actually starts having the breakdown, she starts to quieten down a little bit more. She lights up, obviously, when she's around, you know,
Bobby,
Priscilla
Cliff,
Pointer and
and
all that. Yeah, and all that.
yeah,
And she
yeah.
loves seeing her mother. It's just this sort of, it really comes when she finds out she can't have children. And then it's just
Yeah,
like, bam, because everything that she was hoping for herself, for her own childhood,
you're
she
right.
was going to give to her kid. She can't have a kid. So it's just
Yep.
been that little last straw. And
Um,
yeah, yeah, it's really fantastic.
so I think the doctor, her psychiatrist, is like, the need for a baby is because she has a need to feel loved. She needs to understand. She needs help.
Mm.
Dr. Waring meets with Rich about the plastic surgery. He actually, I guess at first Mitch had like a plastic surgery mind of like lip fillers and like normal
Yeah,
things.
and then you get that stuff where they're like, "Oh no, we're like fixing burn victims and stuff like
Right.
that." And yeah, there's completely different types. I actually like that they made an effort to sort of do that because they spend quite a bit of time having Mitch sort of pontificate about his ethics and stuff, and it's like, well, dude, you don't have to be unethical. Like there are other
Yeah.
options.
And like cleft palates they mentioned. Like it's like
Yeah,
helping kids and whatever. And yeah.
yeah, birth defects and
Um
stuff.
so he says he'll think on it because he never thought of it that way before, like that type of, plastic surgery.
Yeah, yeah, just fair.
Cliff finds out about Pam's breakdown. Bobby takes Pam home. She apologizes. JR wants $5 million a barrel. I'm trying to get this stuff down. I don't know the
Uh,
logistics.
Look, I think the main thing here is all look, I think that's all just padding, not like in a sense that it's irrelevant, but I think that's
Right,
just
right.
to yeah, put more I didn't follow the numbers this time, man. They were talking too many and I was like, you know what? I know what's going
It
on. We
really,
know what's
it
going
really
on.
was. Yeah.
It
So
was good.
he basically
It was
wants,
good. Because you have all this cool banter and stuff and like you do
right,
understand it when you're listening to it, but I just didn't really retain any of it.
right. He wants John Roth back and he'll do anything to do it. And this is what he's
He's paying an
saying.
exorbitant amount of money to try and starve out Southern Cross. You know what I mean? Like that's the
Yeah, to
bulk of
stop
it.
business for Clayton.
Y- Yeah, yeah.
Um, Bobby gets a letter with a picture of Kristen and her baby in it.
Mm,
Um, yeah, some dude calls and wants to meet up. That's Jeff Faraday.
mm.
Which I have a post-it on him. So
Oh my
he's
god, was he in
what?
Black Christmas?
Yes, he was.
I
Good
only watched that a
job.
few weeks ago. I was looking at him and I'm like, where the hell is this guy from? I was even watching it with my friend at the time and I'm like, man, this guy's familiar and I'm pretty sure it's from a soap opera.
I was gonna say I wanted to cover that for our what is it? Our sorority
I
ones that we
just
were gonna
clicked
do.
right then who it was.
So yes, his name is
I love
Art
Black
Hindle.
Christmas.
His name's Art Hindle, and he was in Black Christmas, 1974. He was in Young and the Restless in 2000. He did 3 episodes as a detective on Beverly Hills 90210. He was
Oh yeah.
also in a short-lived soap opera that I cannot get my hands on called Berringers. So if anybody has that, get it. It's only
There
12
was a
episodes
Facebook
from
group that had episodes of that.
really.
There's like TV
I want to.
episodes that they had posted up from like what they recorded. Yeah, I can't remember the group. I might have to check
Oh,
that.
okay. Yeah, there's 12 episodes. It was in 1985. So anyway, he calls Bobby. He doesn't want to deal with JR because he knows that JR can be ruthless and probably drive him out of town. Kristen, I guess, put it in his ear like this is what can happen to you, buddy.
Yeah,
Um,
it's fair.
and he basically wants money for more info on the baby. Clayton tells Sue Ellen that Dusty has been going into the projection room every day and watching videos of him riding, which is very depressing because he's depressed.
Although I have to wonder where he
Um,
got that footage.
mm, what do you
So
mean?
I'm just making a joke because like there were close-up
Oh,
angles that you wouldn't get unless you were.
oh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, I'm just chucking shit. Like,
Right.
like
It
heaps
was
of shows.
basically from the rodeo episode, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's exactly the rodeo footage, the footage that the audience saw.
They do that a lot in Charlie's Angels too. They'll show footage of like sometimes they'll show clips of the angels and it's like pictures of them from another episode.
I,
Like it's
I was I was
weird.
watching Friday the 13th Part 5 the other day, and I was having the biggest laugh because as they're going through, I think it was Part 5, yeah, they're going through like Roy's like newspaper clippings of where how his inspiration for dressing up like Jason, and there's a
Right.
picture of Jason in the mask like he's just been caught at the swamp, and I'm like, who took that picture? Like, who was taking pictures of him? Like,
Yeah,
who
who
was
had
brave enough
time
to get
and
that picture and get to it to print? Like, but yeah, whatever.
so funny. But it ends with Pam going to the clinic or
Yeah,
whatever it is. Some kind of rehab.
I. It just looks like a
Okay.
mental. It just honestly looks like a ritzy sort of, um, like
Yeah, it does.
yeah, like a
It
ritzy
does.
sort of like private hospital type thing. It probably has its own like ward, or so, oh, they all have their own wards. It's a stupid thing to say, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
guess
not
it's
exactly like
different from
it's
like
different to
the
the one
place that
just
Sue Ellen stayed.
yeah. And even though that was kind of pretty chill looking as well. It's certainly not the one. I think it's is it Jessica? Jessica Barlow. It's not like the one where she's
Mm,
staying at in later
yeah,
seasons.
I love Jessica. I can't wait for
She's
her.
great. I
She's
cannot remember the
amazing.
actor's name. What? I will get to her, but she's amazing.
Yeah, she goes way back. She did movies in like the 40s, 50s, and 60s, which I really need to watch some of them.
Oh no,
Um,
I remember seeing
but
her myself, and I just cannot remember her name off the top of my head. It's annoying me now. But anyway,
I know, I can see it too, but I can't think of it right now either. Um, so episode 6 of season 5 is called "The Big Shutdown." Ray and Donna offer Bobby some help if Pam needs anything. They talk about kids, um, and they seem interested in having one eventually. He's like, not now, whatever. They're just throwing it out there.
yeah,
Um,
she's a bit cute about it though.
yeah, that's why I wrote it because I'm like they didn't really say much, but it was just a cute scene.
Yeah, I like that.
Um, Ellie says that Jock is on his way to South America. Jock's really traveling a lot. He's
Yeah,
he went to Washington. He's going from Washington to South America. I don't
with
know
a
if he ends up
layover in
anywhere else.
Dallas to see his family for the first time in like probably what he's been gone like what 3 or 4 months something. No, it couldn't be
Yeah.
that long yet. Has it been that long yet? Oh.
It depends on how you look at it. Because
Mm.
like when we wrapped up the season, we were still in last season, but really, it's 4 months later, so who knows?
Well, I'm thinking eight. It's eight. What we're getting to the eight, around to 8 episodes. I always like look at it when they do the yearly seasons. That if you're looking at like half a season, you're roughly looking at about 6 months worth of their time, or around about,
Hmm.
depending on if the story obviously picks up directly after things that happen. Yada yada
Yeah.
yada. But yeah, the details.
Um, there's more with this JR doing this, whatever. Like you said, there's so many numbers. He's trying to
Yeah, and
get,
he's talking to everybody. Like, I think that was the idea
yeah,
too, is to have him in the office with a couple of different dudes because like he is going to other distributors. Like, they're not even people he already has necessarily like massive relationships with.
I have that he was trying to get $200 million to hold 500 million barrels of oil.
Yeah, goes through the
It's
banks to try and secure
insane.
it.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
Um, and Von Leland is back, and he's offering to help, or is he?
I just want to point out that he is totally owning the oozy, slimy rich guy type thing. He's just doing it so well, and because he's dealing with JR, he knows he can play things a little bit. Like, oh, they're
Yeah,
great scenes, but every time I'm just like, ugh. It's like if snake oil was a person, it would be this man.
yeah. This actor is great. He was in
Yeah,
the Bionic Woman and $6 Million Man episodes too, and he's like
ah,
he's a rich type in those too.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's he's like basically the same character. It's kind of funny. So he probably got
Just more
typecast,
villainy. Like,
but he's good at it. He's really
yeah, yeah,
good.
no, definitely.
Bobby gets a call from Jeff. He wants $2,000 when they meet at the park for whatever information. Catherine goes to meet Pam at the facility. She wants to get to know her a little bit. And I guess she can't really hang around, like she's heading back to New York or whatever. And Pam just like goes into like this daze again, and she's like, I wanted to know what it was like to have Mama around. I'm just like, because did you see how that's one of the scenes? Like she was bright and happy to meet Catherine, and then once her mother got brought up, she was just like dazed. I'm like,
Yeah, like
damn,
Catherine doesn't really handle it well. But like, let's be honest, girl. You're going to like this mental health care facility to just
right?
casually visit your sister before you swing through the airport. It just seems a bit too cash, you know? And then you're
Well,
kind of like, what, surprised that she's a little bit weird? Like, I don't know.
Catherine's very young still and very naive. I mean, when is she in
Oh,
college? She's
that's
probably early 20s,
oh, that's
19,
true. They
20.
did say she was still college, wasn't she? I always got the
Yeah,
impression she was
so
around like mid 20s or so. But yeah, no, that's true. They
yeah,
did say she was in school still.
yeah, she's young. So I'm guessing she just doesn't know really how to deal with it yet.
That's fair.
You know,
She has
but
her own. You see, mental health problems run in this family though, because
oh yeah,
and I don't know if we can blame old Digger for that one. Maybe for Pam because he
right.
raised her.
Yeah, really. Um, JR tells Vaughn he will do anything to make it up to him for screwing him over.
Yeah,
He screwed him over in the what is it, the Southeast Asia deal
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
What season was that? Four? That
No, three.
mid four? Three.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was one of the could have shot JR people.
It's just that JR also helped fund another, like he helped fund the coup to get the other government back in, and that's when they all got their money back. So there was they redo a bit of that story later in season 4, because that's
Yeah,
how he kind of got his rep back in Dallas as well, because he was having all that drama for a while, doing business with other people because of the rumors and stuff. Excuse me.
right. And JR is like, give me 24 hours and I'll show you how good of a friend I can be.
Yeah.
Um, Vaughn meets up with another dude about oil. I didn't know what he was doing. He calls
So I
JR to
think
meet up.
he was just trying to gauge where because JR I think in that meeting JR Lees was like, well, if this falls through, then you basically would own Ewing Oil and I work for you. And then next scene is like Vaughn meeting with that I think he's like he's like an analyst or something like that, because I can't remember. They say his offices, I just can't bloody remember.
Okay.
They're just sitting there talking about what's going to happen with the oil prices and what this fella believes will occur, because he's like more or less always on the money, and so that's and yeah, so he's anticipating what a drop soon. So if someone was going to buy up that much oil, they would either have to have enough money to hold on to it, or they'll have to drop it within the next couple of weeks. And so
Yeah,
Vaughn, I
yeah.
think, is looking at that as more of like, well, if I give him the money for it and he defaults, I own the company. And oil prices will go
Right.
back up anyway. So Vaughn wins in the end, regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was just
Um,
covering his ass because he doesn't trust JR. And also that
right.
slimy
As he
element that
shouldn't.
the actor does so well. If JR does forfeit, he owns the company.
Yeah. Punk and Ray are still into whatever they're doing. I forget what it's
It's
called.
it's just land development and stuff like that. They're
Land
kind of
development.
a
There you
little,
go.
yeah, they're sort of a little bit vague about these parts. It's odd that they're so specific about what JR's
Hmm.
doing in a lot of ways, but I suppose that's more of the main plot line at the moment. But yeah,
Yeah.
and then you've got Ray
I just
and Punk.
I think this leads to other things though.
Oh yeah, it does.
But
From what I remember,
Ray, so Punk has to leave town or whatever, and Ray like tells the dude to hold off for 48 hours. I guess he wants to think about if he wants to try to do it on his own or whatever.
Ray can afford it and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. JR wants Afton to take care of Vaughn in any way possible to make him happy. So be his whore, basically.
basically. And she flat
Because
out tells him
JR
in
is
this
with
scene
him.
too that she's uncomfortable with it, and he's like basically promised her a recording contract. So he hits her in all the things that he
Yeah.
knows will work.
Yeah. Um, and I said, so yeah, I guess after that Vaughn takes the deal with JR.
Mm,
Clayton tells Sue Ellen about his wife dying. He's just opening up to her. Thought it was a sweet scene because it almost, well, I always looked at it as a father-daughter relationship, but
so did I.
until
I
later.
well, Jr. Jr. is really the one that first starts saying that in a way to be. He's trying to shit on their relationship because there's a point here where he's like so. There's a point here where Jr. At one point he's talking about Sue Ellen as a woman and how
Right.
every time she's ever left, it's to run to another man, doesn't respect her, and like all this sort of stuff. So the one sort of male figure that she's not romantically connected to, that she cares deeply for, why wouldn't he shit all over that and call that something and make it sound like dirty? You know
Dirty.
what I mean? Yeah, it makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. I would do something like that. It also makes so just with character interaction as well. Like as far as like the writers writing this stuff, this is all so perfectly legit. Like people pull this shit. Like
Yeah.
and
It's true.
yeah, like and yeah, it's really well done, and it just the soapy element just adds all the super awesome melodrama like you get with it. But yeah,
Right.
it's funny how you see actual psychology and how they're writing the characters. It's really good.
Yeah. But Clayton says that she's the best thing to happen to Dusty, which is sweet.
Yeah,
Um, Catherine doesn't seem like she likes Cliff making changes when they're at Wentworth Tool and I, because he like got rid of something and is changing things around, and she's just like, why would you do that? It's been here forever. My daddy had that, like, but like she's still kind of being fake, but like, you're seeing it in her face, like she's upset about these little random things.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Pam sees her shrink. Her name is Dagmara, and she says, "You have such a pretty name." I'm like, Dagmara is a pretty name. Um, I'm
It
sorry if
sounds like
anyone, I'm sorry if
sounds
anyone
like
out
that.
there is named Dagmara and I'm shitting on it, but it ain't pretty.
I mean, it's a good name for Middle Earth people. Like,
Lord of
it's
the
a
Rings.
good yeah, it's like a good dark fantasy slash adventure quest name, like for a misunderstood sort of hero who looks like shit. Like the sort of badass hero one that looks like the bad guy or something, or is the bad
Right.
guy. Like it's a good name for that stuff, but it is odd to have like just you know. But they
It's
love
a
their
pretty
wearing, and
name.
it's like think about it though, like main wearing. You're like there'll be another one soon that'll be like Watson, like
I know, it's so true.
yeah.
Um, Bobby finds checks that were paid to Kristen from Jordan Lee.
Mm.
Lucy goes to a party and sees Mitch, and she wonders why he's there because, like, it's Dr. Waring's party or whatever, and
Yeah,
you don't usually
ritzy
hobnob
people.
with the rich.
Yeah,
Exactly. He tells her that he's like interested in this job, and so they're kind of getting along-ish. I don't know if they're really working on their marriage right now. They just kind of seen each other for the first time in God knows how long. Um, and yeah, he said the job will keep him in Dallas, and helps that she's there and all that stuff. Ray is excited to be a developer, making deals. Donna offers to be his partner, which what is she? I forget. A silent partner.
Yeah, yeah.
She wants to be
She's
a
basically the
silent
money.
partner.
Yeah, she's basically
Um,
saying, I'll be the money, and that's cool
right.
with me, sort of thing. Yeah, support him.
And of course, Ray being Ray is like, no, I can't do that. But then he does ultimately take her up on it because she's being cute
Mm.
and
Well, she
he's
says it's our
trying
money.
to,
She's trying to
he's
say
trying,
our money. It's both our failure if you both win and
right.
lose. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
he's trying to do the same, but like he's trying to be good and not prideful, which you could tell it's so hard for him to do.
I mean,
Um,
to his credit, we get the shits with Ray over this, I know, but he does make efforts at times.
yeah, yeah, he does. Ellie visits Sue Ellen. Dusty tells Clayton the shipment didn't come. JR signs the deal with Vaughn. Um, that's all I got for that one. Episode 7 is called Blocked. Afton singing in the beginning. A different song.
Yeah, I actually did
Not,
note that when it started. I was like, oh, that's different to the last one. Like,
she
like,
is.
what are they getting more rights or something? Nah, that's mean.
No, well, I know. I think the actress in real life had an album out actually, and it
Oh,
might be
of
from her
course.
album. Yeah, they all
Well, that
sing.
would be cheaper because they were forking out for all the music rights on Nuts Landing. Not that you guys could do that for the DVD releases, side notes.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I know you guys don't still have Knots Landing there, right?
We got okay. So season one got released right on not long after it originally got released over there because by this time I was tracking all that stuff because I was like getting to
Right,
Dynasty, and all that, and they didn't have their big wide releases like they do now.
right.
Knots Landing season two eventually came here. I'm pretty sure, but it wasn't for long. I think it just got like a quiet release, and it's like they were just like, oh, we forgot that Warner Brothers also released this one. You know, same with Falcon Crest. We only got season two of it. It's a while ago now, but it was years after everywhere else. Even it was even on video demand, on demand or whatever, for
Well,
years
that's
before. Yeah,
like here now. Now we have an app called Plex that has Knots Landing, Falcon Crest, and Sisters on there.
yeah.
All
So
the
glad that I
seasons.
sort of had the presence of mind to get all these shows when I came across them online at different times.
Yeah, right.
Thank you,
But
all
yeah,
you
so
wonderful uploaders out there. I never would have seen so much passions. All my children, Nuts Landing, Flamingo
yeah.
Road, which, by the way, I still haven't finished, but still.
Right. So anyhow, JR comes by, and he says to Afton, like, don't be cold to Vaughn. Um, she gets skeeved out by Vaughn, basically.
Who wouldn't?
Um, and then he promises her like a better place to sing at and whatever she wants to
Mm,
hear, to try to
yeah,
get her to be nice and basically bang
basically.
him, and she does not want to bang him.
Yeah.
Um, Bobby meets with Jordan Lee, basically says like he could be the daddy. And he didn't know, I don't think, if he was the dad or not, but he paid
He
her
just,
off anyway just to keep
yeah,
riding.
I think like when he brings up the other guys and all that, he sort of was like, he doubts that he's the dad, but he didn't really dispute it. So it's just easier to pay her.
Yeah, he didn't want the scandal.
Yeah.
Dusty and Sue Ellen are on. She wants to stop riding her horses because she thinks it upsets him. He's like, no, it would upset me if you didn't. Like he's just depressed. Like give him time. Nobody gives people time. Um,
Yeah, they
dude
don't. They
comes to
really
tell.
don't.
Listen to this note, you'll love it. Dude comes to tell Clayton about oil stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I think that was I think that's just about like why deliveries were there was issue with deliveries and like what's been
Right.
happening and stuff. So I think that was just the idea that Clayton's finally sort of starting to, well, not finally, but like is starting to feel the effects of JR's scheming.
Yeah. I like how you said scheming. Jared
That's he
scheming.
just does it every time. It's like running.
Um,
Like
right. Rebecca and Cliff visit Pam. She gets weird when he brings up Aunt Maggie. Isn't that it's Aunt Maggie, right? I couldn't remember if I got that
Yeah,
right.
yeah, no, their aunt is
Yeah.
Aunt Maggie. Yeah,
All right. Mitch and Lucy hang out. They seem to be getting along this week. Clayton finds out someone is trying to shut him down, and he says there'll be hell to pay when he finds out who it is.
yeah,
And Sue Ellen goes to JR because she was there and overheard it, and of course she knows it's JR doing it, which she had no doubts in her mind. He denies it, of course. Um, and they end up kind of like spatting a little bit. And like, did you
mm,
notice like when she left, he actually looked kind of sad. Like I
yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
he misses her in his own weirdo way. The freak, even though he like I forget what he called her. He said something like nasty to her right before she left.
He called
And
it,
then he
beg your
looked
pardon?
he said something nasty to her before she left. I can't remember what it was. I didn't write it,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
um but then he looked all sad like when she left. Instead of the usual, I'm an asshole smirk.
yeah.
Um Ellie gives advice to Lucy about Mitch, nothing exciting there. George comes by, says he ain't the daddy, he had a blood test done, blah blah blah. Sue Ellen says she's leaving what's it called again? Southern Cross.
I think yes, yeah, yeah.
Because
I thought
because
that's
she
what you
doesn't
meant.
want them because she doesn't want them to be destroyed. Dusty says, "Don't worry about it." Sue
Yeah,
Ellen's like, "Please, like, I don't want to see this happen to people I care about." You know. Afton sings another new song called "Look Out." I actually like this song. I thought it was fun.
yeah,
I remember liking it before too, like in the past. I have to look up and see if she has any music on my music app. I would
probably.
download that one. Cliff comes to talk to Afton, and he basically just tells her he got a new job or whatever.
Yeah,
Um, I always think in these episodes, like I know Afton was kind of a dick to him, but I always felt like she actually did care about him because even she said something along the lines of like, 'cause remember like because JR had her hook up with Cliff basically for
yeah,
him. Um, and she did that with no problem and slept with him. But she doesn't
yeah,
want Vaughn, and she's not that she feels a certain way. Like I don't know. I always felt like
yeah.
she actually did care about Cliff.
Yeah, she liked him at
Um,
least. I think this is when
yeah,
she starts to care about him though, like when they rekindle and stuff. Because otherwise, he would have just been like. I think she always like liked him. I think it's now where they sort of rekindle here, and that's when she starts to really sort of click with him more. You know?
yeah, yeah. Um, Ellie says she talked to Jock, but there was a bad connection, so she didn't know what he was saying.
Mm,
Um, Ray tells JR about his deal, and JR says something shitty. Um, to Donna, he's like, Sam would be rolling in his grave if he knew you were giving his money to some cowboy. And she
hmm.
pushes him in the pool. I love it. He totally deserved it, dude. He deserved a slap
Yeah,
and a push.
yeah.
Um, Bobby meets with Jeff about the baby. He wants checks that Jeff has, like copies of checks or something.
I think
I
that's just
guess,
to prove that JR was paying for stuff.
well, I think JR covered his tracks by doing something with these checks, so that's why he has to look further into the checks, remember? Because it doesn't have like
Yeah,
JR's name on it. Because
yeah,
JR
yeah.
doesn't want to be traced directly. Because JR is
Smarter than
smart,
Jordan
you know.
Lawrence.
Right, right.
I feel like they don't have the
Sorry,
same
Jordan Lee.
resources there.
JR calls Clayton to meet up with him. Ray and Donna meet with this guy, Neil, the land developer dude. Um, Bobby and Ellie talk. He thinks it's a good idea for him to get a baby for Pam. I'm like, that's probably the last thing you should do. She needs to work out her problems. Now of course, we know how it turns out, which isn't good in my opinion, but I guess it helps.
Still going to hit
Clayton,
harder. It hit so much harder after saying earlier.
Clayton and JR meet up. He wants Sue Ellen and John Ross, but like you said, Sue Ellen doesn't come, it don't matter.
Yeah,
Um, Clayton says no deal. JR is like, I'll break you. Uh, Clayton says something about like the bankers won't wait forever. By the time Jock gets back, you may not even have a Ewing oil.
yeah.
Um, I like it's Clayton said something else too. He's like, I fought in like tough or I fought tougher people than you. Like he is not even phased by
Yeah,
it. And that's why I love Clayton. Because like he's
yeah.
just a
Well,
really
in
strong
essence,
character.
Clayton's been around for around the block for a while. He can see what JR's doing, but he also knows the cost of what it'll be. So he's like, oh, okay, well,
Hmm.
he's like, so what do you reckon? And he's like, with the terms you've given me, I can afford to wait. Like,
Hmm.
he's like,
Yep.
I'll lose money, but it won't ruin me. It'll ruin you, but it won't ruin me.
Uh-huh.
So he'll be a little bit
Love
broke
it.
at this. He'll be a little bit broke at this financial year than last year. That's about it. Like,
Yeah. He'll
Southern
just have
Cross
to
still going to
fire
be.
a farmhand.
Yeah,
So episode
it
eight.
it does. Oh, just really quickly, I do like that scene mostly because we've seen JR kind of get everything he wants or be the smartest one, and this plays out like, okay, so perhaps JR in this instance has actually overplayed his hand because he's
Yeah.
against somebody who knows the business like he does, if not better, or at least in that dynamic. So it's
Right.
good. It's good because Dusty wouldn't be able to Dusty doesn't bring that in terms of that to a confrontation like that because he spent most of his time in the radios and stuff like Clayton
Right.
does. So yeah, it's good, and it also shows that Sue Ellen has actually managed to build, in essence, a support network out of all the massive bullcrap that she's been through.
Right. And did you notice in like all these episodes how they've been eating breakfast outside constantly? Because they can only film outdoors. So
Yeah,
funny. So yeah, it starts out with them eating outside and they're talking to the JR and whatever. Um, Nothing exciting happened there. At Southern Cross, Clayton and some dude are talking about the situation that JR put him in. Sue Ellen says she doesn't want to see him destroyed. Um, he's not backing down or whatever.
yeah.
Pam talks about her mama issues. She feels empty, and the doctor Dagmara or whatever says, "Will it make the baby or will it make the pain go away if you get a baby?" And I'm like, probably not.
I just think that like Dagmar, all on Earth, all the way from Coruscant to to treat Pam. Like,
Right. Vaughn goes to JR. Something about if it lost $5 million. Oh, he said something like you're gonna lose $5 million or whatever because
mm,
he has his doubts and he's just messing with them.
yeah,
Um, Donna meets with Mr. Chapman to publish her book about Sam Colbert. Neil calls Ray about foundations on his development. They're not something's not right with them. They need to be like fixed up before they can actually do the land deal or whatever.
yeah,
Jeff is waiting for Bobby with the checks from a law firm from California. So I guess JR went through like his lawyer to pay her somehow.
yeah. It would have been something like that, most likely. That's what it sounded like,
Yeah,
anyways. But it's just like that backup evidence of JR being involved in all the money stuff and everything that Bobby was chasing down.
cover your tracks, cover your tracks.
He did it pretty well. I mean, nobody would have noticed unless they went looking, which they didn't until they did.
Right. I mean, he got away with it for a season and a half.
Yeah, it's
Um,
decent for soap time.
Afton tells JR no more time with Vaughn. Um, Mitch comes in because he starts kind of like manhandling her, and Mitch socks him.
Good job though.
Yeah, J.
Mitch being like super mask with all that protecting his sister.
Mm-hmm.
One of the more like one of
JR.
the things like I've noticed they've started having them together in a few more scenes here and there as well because they are like brother and sister and you don't really see them around each other too much in the beginning.
Right, right. And JR says he's finished with her. He can get any other whore to do what he wants her to do, whatever.
Mm,
He's an ass, which he does in like 2 minutes because it's right now.
yeah.
So JR gets a new lady, Heather, for Vaughn to take to do, what Afton couldn't.
Mm,
He says something like a note is due in 10 days or something. I guess he has 10 days till the barrels or can't afford it.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
whatever the deal is. Did you notice this Heather girl? Do you know who she is?
I didn't notice. No, sorry.
So I forgot to look her up, but I'm pretty sure it's the lady that comes in for a love interest for the last two seasons of Dallas, and Barbara Stock. I forgot to look at the name. Do you remember her?
Darn, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
I'll look
I'm
it
pretty
up.
sure. So anyway, I think this might be like a one or two episode stint for her in this, but she actually plays two characters on Dallas.
Ah, bit like Mitch Pileggi.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Um, so Neil tells all the issues to Ray. It's going to cost more money. Ray's like, hold up for a few days. You got to think on things, whatever. Ellie is riding her bike in South Fork. She looks so good, doesn't she? She looks nice and healthy, and
Yeah,
really happy for Barbara Bel Geddes for getting her shit together. Because she does. She looks like she lost like two people. I feel like she looks so different.
yeah, she
But
looks
I
a
guess
lot
she had
smaller.
to, because I'm
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
sure she had like a heart. She had a heart condition or something. I think she had a heart attack, which is why
Oh,
she
wow.
leaves. Yeah, she
Yeah, in
leaves
season 8. Yeah,
soon.
season 8, she's not in it.
Uh, yeah. Um, Lucy comes home. Whatever. There's a packet from Jock in the mail. Then we have a family meeting. There's a legal document with 100 voting shares. Jack wants to leave it just in case something happens because I guess he's busy traveling and anything can go wrong. I don't know what the
It's also
situation is.
narrative. It's also narrative foreshadowing. But yes,
Yeah, yeah, basically. So he gives 30 shares to Ellie, 20 shares to JR, 20 shares to Bobby, 10 to Gary, 10 to Ray, 10 to John Ross, and
is that
he doesn't get,
didn't, didn't Lucy
I'm
get
sorry.
10? Did you say Lucy?
Yeah, Lucy got 10 too. I think I forgot to
Yeah,
write her. Good job. And
yeah.
Lucy got 10. Did I say Gary? Oh yeah, I did. Um, so John Ross's shares, JR can have them if John Ross is living in the house. Otherwise, Miss Ellie has them. So Miss Ellie has 40 shares right now. So she has control. John Ross, oh yeah, I already said that. JR tells Haskell to take a vacation. Who is Haskell? Is he the guy that was involved with the oil shit?
I think he's just
He knows too
yeah. It's
much,
just
so he's got to send them off.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, he gets rid of that guy. Um, Gary's on. I forgot
Yeah,
he was
I
in
did
this.
see that. Yeah, he made
I
his little
totally
appearance.
forgot. Yeah, like I feel like that could have been done with a phone call from Ellie on Ellie's side, but I guess they wanted to show him and Valley, whatever.
The show still
And they
did their little
did.
crossovers at this point, so they don't stop doing that
Yeah,
until after season 9.
but this is literally like they're on for 2 minutes. So Gary
Yeah,
gets a call from Ellie. He's like, I want to go home and see what's going on. And Val doesn't seem pleased as always. She's like, why don't you always go home? You know, you always get weird and you might drink, whatever. They
and
never
shit
say
starts
that,
usually, which is not true, like, which is fair.
right? And he drunk. It's 1981, so 1980 is when he just fell off the wagon again. So it only been like a
He like
year.
season 3 for them.
Yeah.
Season 3 or
Um,
4,
Afton
because they're a
goes
year
to
behind
Went.
Dallas.
Afton goes to Wentworth Tool and Die to see Cliff. He says, not bad for a loser, eh? She's like, I guess I deserve that. Since she called
Yeah,
him a loser six
at least she
episodes ago
owned
or
it.
whatever.
I like that little scene, the banter there. Like, cause he's
Yeah.
like throws it in her face, and she's like, "Well, yeah, I kind of earned that remark."
Yeah.
Walked into that one.
She wants his help to get JR because she wants revenge on him. Um, Bobby visits Pam. She asks about the adoption agencies. Does he know anything? Ray goes to meet for the loan for $3 million. He wants to do it without Donna's money. There we go again. Right? I mean, whatever.
I mean, they already agreed,
This
but
is
whatever.
I right? That's
Mm,
like Ray. Come on, man.
like,
Um,
yeah,
so my cat's
annoying,
being
but yeah.
yeah, it is. I lost my spot because Monty was walking on me. Forgive me. Um, where was I? Afton fills Cliff in on Vaughn lending money to JR, storing the barrels, and all that jazz. And basically, they team up to
Mm,
do whatever they're going to do. JR calls for Dusty to meet up. Ray tells off the dude, I forget his name, the land guy, for not checking the land first because he should have done that and had people go over it. And
yeah.
I don't know how it works. I guess like if it's not cleaned up, then other people won't be interested in buying it and it'll screw up everybody's money.
Well, it's
That's
like
what
if
I
the
get from it.
foundations, no, if the foundations are bad, it means that they've already like spent money on like sort of sorting the site out. They've laid the thing down to start doing the foundations for the development, and the ground is actually shit. So it costs money to do all that.
Yeah, like probably a lot.
Yeah, I presume. I also don't know much about development, but I assume things
Uh-uh.
like if the foundations are bad, you can't build on it. So they should have probably known more about the spot that they were choosing to build on in the first place. Because
Yeah,
even if by the sounds of it, they could logically choose another spot because they owned a big chunk of that land. But it's that they've spent money here, and he's obviously not got the extra. So
yeah.
that's at least how it sounded. But like I said, I had distractions these episodes.
Donna gets a Donna gets a $50,000 check in advance for her book. I'm like, man, this woman just has money coming to her.
Yeah.
I'd want to be her family member or friend. Um, Bobby decides not to run for re-election because there's a lot going on with his family, which there always is. Whatever. I feel like he was only in there for like what, 2 months.
I think this is
Afton
them.
has,
I think this is them like realigning certain stories because Jock's not
yeah,
around. Yeah,
right. Afton has Vaughn over, and Cliff joins,
yeah,
and
yeah,
Cliff's like pin the tail on the Ewing. And Vaughn smiles, so I guess they're gonna work together to do whatever they're gonna do to JR. I kind of forget, so I'll see. Dusty meets with JR on a football field. His helicopter
mm.
comes in. I'm like, it kind of would have been funny if they like played football to like decide what's gonna happen, but it
Well,
doesn't.
there's no coincidence that they come from opposing sides and look at each other on a football field the way they do. Like that's all subtextual. Like it's literally like JR versus Dusty.
It's
Like
kind of funny because I didn't even think of that. I was just thinking they should play football.
well, I mean,
That's where
even
my
it would
mind went.
work in. It would honestly work in any stadium type. It doesn't have to be a football stadium, but Dallas Stadium is like fairly famous. So yeah,
Right, right. JR mentions his impotence. Dusty's impotence, not JR's, just to be
yeah,
clear.
yeah.
Um, says Sue Ellen is very sexual, like he would always bang her and then go out for more from other people, which was not 100% accurate
No, he's just being a
at
pig.
all.
He's just being a
Yeah,
pig
he's
and
being a
trying
pig.
to emasculate Dusty.
And of course, he's getting to him.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job of it. Like,
Dusty smacks him in the face, which was a great. I wish he would have punched him, but the slap was just as good, I guess.
I think that's intentional. He's literally sitting there emasculating Dusty. He's talking him down. He's making fun of his dick essentially, and then the dude doesn't punch him. He slaps him.
Yeah.
So, like,
Oh, that's
don't get me
true.
wrong. I feel like that makes sense. It's sort of like
It
a yeah.
does.
It's not actually. It's not supposed to like trash Dusty. I think it's just it reflects the moment. It reflects what Dusty's insecure about.
Yeah.
I was actually more
He.
impressed with it when I saw this originally. I saw this thing as such like the essentially like a counterpart to when the girls confront each other. But now, when I was watching this, I was like, huh. They reinforced his insecurity even in his own actions. Wow. And it's just so well done. Like,
Yeah, it is. Um, and yeah, JR says something along the lines of like, um,
she
that
ain't a man boy, but I'll sure ain't you.
yeah.
Something like that.
And then Dusty kind of just like is stopped, and then it's the end of the
The
show.
sigh. The sigh sort of
I
thing.
know.
Yeah, I think that was a really great scene, though. And because we've seen Dusty have it over JR in certain situations already, it was a scene where it shows JR having it over him, and it just furthers that battle type element of like the men in Sue Ellen's life type thing, you know.
Yeah.
It is
And
awful to see. It's sad, but like it's such a well done
and
scene.
it's something that unfortunately will get into Dusty's head, which it is, and then he'll spin it
Well,
out a
as we
little bit.
learn, I don't really think it's too much of a plot giveaway because it's more about his development. As we learn, this is all in Dusty's head anyway. His dick is fine. He's messed up and he's got hang-ups,
Right,
and some of those
right.
are to do with Sue Ellen, you know,
Yeah,
not in the way that she has hang-ups with JR, but like, you know what I mean. So all of it kind of affects everything, but yeah, as we
yeah,
learn later on. But I always thought that that was significant development for Dusty, even though I think that when we learn that is years later when he guest stars or something like that.
right.
Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly because I'm fairly certain. Yeah, I'm fairly certain it's like after. Yeah, it's later. It's later on, but I'm not sure if it's like 7 or 8 or something like that, or if it's
Right.
the. But yeah,
I always think I know Holly Harwood comes on soon. I like her. I think I want to see it. Oh, is it 6?
I love Holly
Damn.
Harwood.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. The first time I dealt with her, like I saw it dealt with her, like we're friends or something. The first
Yeah, your bestie.
I saw her. I wasn't big into her. Like I don't know. Like the first time the original, I guess I kind of like half watched, like when I originally watched everything. Um, because I felt like I didn't even know what was going on. So it's kind of fun to like go back and totally. But although I did watch it again a few years ago with my friend Karen, and then I got to actually like Holly. I liked Susan Flannery's character, who I wasn't a huge fan of originally, like when I watched when I was like 20. Um,
I think Holly was good in the sense of like, it was a way of like, I didn't know there was. It's probably just the way the character was done, more or less. It's like after she does the sort of shitty thing that she does try and make up for it. It's just the one situation. It's sort of like a situation where she actually can't, though. Like in some ways, a
yeah,
lot of therapies will
too
do
late.
situations where people make up for the crap that they pull. But I like situations too where you simply can't do that in some examples. Like sometimes you hurt someone and they're just not going to forgive you, and that's okay,
Yeah,
you know.
it's just
And she does try, but I do find the character to be well done, and I think she more or less phases out around season 7, which I wish she didn't.
yeah, she does. She does come back, I think, for like a one episode in season
Oh
7,
yeah,
maybe two. But like,
yeah,
but yeah,
yeah, it's something, but yeah,
yeah. But yeah, this season's going smoothly. It is a sad season because, of course, we did lose Jock last season, although he's still alive in the show,
yeah,
or
he's still
his presence is felt in the show, and that's another thing too that why they might have come up with this little thing for him because like his presence is still around, and I
yeah. So
believe, I
yeah,
mean, his presence is on for a very long time. I feel
his
like
his presence is felt further into the show. Simply, his presence is felt when Miss Ellie's married to Clayton.
yeah,
Like Clayton even says it at one point. I love those scenes. We'll go over them obviously when we get to them, but I'm just like having
yeah,
flashes
yeah,
of where like Clayton's like, "This is Jock's house. This is
yeah,
your house.
yeah,
This is Jock's house. Like I'm in another man's home." And it's like
yeah,
you'd think, "Oh, hang ups or you're insecure," but it's like no, it's the whole house. It's how it carries Jock's presence. The friggin' portrait, my god! Like, which by
yeah,
the way is a beautiful portrait. I love that portrait. But like, and it they place it in when it's like a big deal when they take it out of the fireplace and put it at Ewing Oil, and like
yeah, yeah.
it's all so well written. I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot more this time around, just because we're doing it, like looking at it differently.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's good
that's what I was
stuff.
going to say. That's what I was going to just make sure to acknowledge quickly is that stuff with the will is also, it adds to and elevates the urgency of JR getting John Ross back home as well. You know, it's
Hmm.
not just pleasing his daddy, it's gaining at least temporary control while daddy's away. You know, like, or pretend, like
That's
maneuvering that. And you see the wheels turning as soon as Ellie's
right.
reading it. Like, he even does that friggin' smile under the glass. I'm like, yeah,
That's why he met up with Dusty because he's trying to do whatever he's got to do to get
Yeah,
her back somehow.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know,
Like,
there's so much. It is. It's a really great story. I mean, as much as I'm not a huge fan of certain writings of the women characters,
yeah,
um, I mean they're good most of the time, but
yeah,
just some of them, I'm just like they wouldn't do that. Like no,
yeah. So
when you build these strong women characters and then make them weak in the end, it just doesn't work. 'Cause, like everybody knows that these people would not do this.
see, the thing is like it's. I think character weakness and like sort of confronting character weakness. I think that can be done well. I think that's kind of what we're seeing with Pam now. You know,
Right. I like
character.
it now
I want to say character
because
weakness.
it
It's
makes
character
sense.
flaws, but like,
But this
yeah, because it
this
does
makes
ultimately.
sense.
Mm. This makes
But what?
sense. The reason why that's why it's
Right.
not so much, I think, a weak character, it's character betrayal. That's why I call them,
Right.
that's why I would phrase it more as a character betrayal because it actually
It's true.
goes
Yes.
completely against what she's like, and all for the
Yeah.
sake of the plot.
Right.
And the plot that needs to
Which
move on that can't actually let her go and doesn't let the
which
character
is
go for like 2 goddamn years.
well, that's another reason that it sucks too, because they even I mean, we'll get to it when we get to it, but when they recast her, they still do it. Like it. No,
They
that
should have
was. I think that I honestly
10,
think
if they were going to do what they did,
someone was
10 should have
someone
been
was
the end.
mad. Someone was mad at Victoria Principal. I don't think 10 should have been the end because I actually really like the following seasons. But
No, no,
they
no,
should have
not the end
killed
of the
her.
show, the end of her. She should have just died.
Oh, totally. Oh,
Yeah.
110%.
I don't, I feel like Victoria Principal was probably thinking, why the hell did they just not kill me?
Yeah.
But she said from the beginning, didn't she, that she wasn't coming back ever. She was done with it,
Yeah, she felt like she could go as far as she could go with the character and
which
yeah,
isn't
she basically
which
wasn't
isn't
coming back.
untrue. And then they did a character betrayal. And it's like, oh, that's where you could
Yeah.
go with the character. Instead of just finishing her off, you write her in a way that's completely stupid and that the audience will hate.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Whatever you do, guys. You do you guys. I actually
But
do
any
think, outside of making the dream season a dream season, I think that's ultimately forgivable. I don't think Pam's character betrayal is, as far as the
right,
writing. I think that's the one unforgivable faux pas of the entire series, even the
right.
reboot, because the reboot does things wrong too and misses the point of the original show, in my opinion. But yeah,
Oh yeah, we'll talk about all that when we get to it because I have a
yeah,
lot to say
I know. I
about the
can't help it.
reboot.
It's I can't help it with a legacy show sometimes because of like,
Right.
yeah, without giving away
Because
too many
we
plot
know what we
points to
know.
anybody who
Right.
might not know what's happening after, as we said, 40 years. But yeah,
Yeah, right. Anything else to say about these four episodes in particular?
no, I just think that a lot of these are building episodes. But in terms of when we were talking about the idea of like the slower building episodes in season 4 compared to these ones are far better written. I feel like the dynamics between the characters are so much more compelling than it was, I guess, when it seems to arguably meander a little bit in season 4. Even though season 4 is still good, and I liked it a lot more than I originally remember liking it. I just feel
Right.
that it meanders a little bit because they just weren't sure where to go, or not where to go, but they built up everything to the big plot. So obviously, you need to take time to build to other plots. It's just I think they're a
Yeah.
bit better at it this season.
Yeah. I'm excited to see where it goes because I can't remember everything.
I remember five,
But it's
six, and
fun.
7 basically being my favorite. Like there was the bomb ass seasons where like crazy shit happened and everybody gets involved in the fucking, beg your pardon, the scramble for Ewing oil and all that. Like the I remember thinking, because like I loved writing and I don't have anything published, but I still write and stuff. I remember being a
Right.
teenager and you're getting all pretentious and you're getting into all that shit for the first time. And so like I'm looking at the idea of how you start a story here in like this little perfect circle and then you extrapolate it out further to include everyone else. And Dallas does that in such an expert way. Knots Landing did it too. Their stories were, obviously a bit more grounded, but Knots Landing did it too through their characters.
I wonder if they like met up, like had meetings like this kind of and just talked about what they were going to do and just throw everything out and how they can put
I
it
think
all together.
I think probably in context of their crossover episodes, but largely nothing that happens in Dallas, even with Ewing Oil, like Gary gets shares, but it doesn't really affect his life as far as California goes. It's just a sort of
Right.
thing, yeah, because they're in the same
Yeah, yeah.
world. But no, like Knots and Dallas for me are still two of probably the best ways to ever do a soap opera, where you have those character-driven plots that create the. It's not really realism, but it creates a sense of realism because you the characters are three-dimensional. So then you can have crazy shit happen, and you
Right.
can, you know what I mean? Not to say that Dynasty is bad, but it's also, in my opinion, the best way to do plot-driven characters rather than character-driven
Right.
plots. But yeah,
Yeah.
my
All right,
thoughts.
well, on that note, we'll end for this week.
Yeah.
Um, thanks for joining us at Queers and Soaps today. Subscribe, like, comment. If you like Dallas, how did you watch season 5? What characters do you like? Do you like what we're talking about? Do you want us to do anything else? Let us know. In the
Yeah, I'm
comments
curious. Do you,
below.
like, what shows do you guys think that would be like cool to do? Like, you can do prime time. Prime time's better for me because daytime got so many episodes. But whatever. Either or.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Or like a
yeah, give me
story arc. You're like Salem Stalker.
You just did that.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Bye, everyone. Good night.